Kinks and Beats Daily. I'm your host, Tony Fry. Thank you for joining us once again. Happy Friday if you're listening in real time. I got nothing for you today. We're just going to go straight to the song. Today we're talking about I've Got a Feeling, released May 8th, 1970 on the Beatles album Let It Be. This is one of my favorite tracks off the Let It Be album. This is just a good, straight-ahead rocker that shows off what great musicians each individual member of the band actually were. There's some really cool stuff on this track, which is, kind of a throwaway track, if we're being honest, but it's a good one. It's a true Lennon and McCartney collaboration, and this is why I call it a throwaway track, because it's two incomplete songs that just happen to, kind of vibe together musically, even though the content is kind of contrary to each other. But it's an incomplete Paul song and an incomplete John song that both had been floating around for a while. And it just works together. It was first recorded January 22nd, 1968. On January 24th, they recorded it again. Now, we've talked about this. We will talk about it a lot more when we actually talk about the album. They get together at a film studio, at a soundstage, to record rehearsals for what would be a live performance. When that proves to be unbearable, the hours are too early, the studio's too cold, they're griping a little bit, they decide to move to the studio, and now the film is just recording them as they record an album. So this January 22nd date and the 24th, these are the second part of the Let It Be project, where they're in the studio actively recording an album, not just rehearsing tunes. The recording on the 24th was actually the version that they were going to use on the Get Back LP that never was. So originally, Glenn Johns was tasked with taking all this wealth of material that they had recorded and making it a coherent album. And the album was called Get Back. The cover of it was a recreation of their Please Please Me cover, but in 1969. And that would eventually be used as the cover of the Red and the Blue album in 1973. But at this point, this recording from January 24th is the one that they are using for the official release. Now, that official release never happens. As we know, the album gets shelved. They record Abbey Road. They go back to it. Now it's the Let It Be album. On January 30th, they performed this track twice on the Rooftop concert. And the first of those two performances is what we hear on the Let It Be album. So the Let It Be album is pretty much just a live recording of I've Got a Feeling up on the rooftop. And this is why I think it's a cool recording, because you hear them playing live and just first off, how tight they are as a band. Musically, whether they're fighting with each other or not, musically they can turn it on and still they're a tight band with instincts that only a band that's been playing together for as long as they have can develop. And so that's it. Paul's on bass and lead vocals, John's on rhythm guitar and lead vocals, George is on lead guitar, Ringo's on drums, and Billy Preston is on electric piano. And the song opens with a pretty easy riff. It's not really a riff, really. It's just a groove almost. What makes it hard? So they're playing an A chord on the second fret, like you would normally play an A chord, but they're reaching for the A up top on the fifth fret. So you have to be able to stretch 1, 2, 3, 4 frets to get this little riff out. And that makes it a little bit tougher, but not impossible. And then, so they're alternating between an A chord and a D chord. And this is a common little lick. It's 1/4. Right? You hear this a lot because it's kind of a bluesy lick. We talked about in yesterday's episode the this is kind of that same thing where we are going into a 4 chord. Whoops. But because we've still got it anchored on A, it's treated almost like a passing chord. And all they're doing is you bar the second, third, and fourth string to get that chord out. And then you hammer on the second string 1 fret higher and the fourth string 2 frets higher. So that middle note stays the same. And you hear, like, what key is that in? That's all they're doing there, is just this 1-4 alternating. So what makes this a challenge, though, is that by the end of this, when you are playing the D chord, you have an open A on the bottom, the 4 strings on the 4th fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret. So it's kind of a stretch, but that's all they're doing. That's the riff. Pretty cool. Starts off with just the electric guitar, then the drums kick in. You have a lot of 16th note subdivision in this section of the song. Got a feeling. Gotta feel. Gotta feeling. Yeah. Got a feeling is a 16th note. 1. I've got a feeling. A feeling. Is a 16th note. There's a lot of 16th subdivision. You hear it in Ringo's drum. His entrance is 16th notes. And then his hi-hat, boom, diggy diggy dum, digga digga dum, da 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 dum. His bass drum is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a very boom, boom, bump, ba-doom. Very 16th subdivided track. And then when Paul comes in on the bass, this is such a cool bass line, where he's doing these octave A's. All these little cool, where he's mostly doing like upbeats. One and right. He's doing upbeats, and then he'll slide in a little riff like that in there, and it's very cool. The way he does it and the way it fits with the rest of the song is incredible. And then George is doing some cool guitar leads, and then when we get to that part where he's going, he's doing that same, but up here on a D chord. So that's like kind of a recurring motif through the whole thing. So if you've ever wondered what Paul is actually saying when he gets to the screaming part, all these years I've been wandering around, wondering how come nobody told me. All that I was looking for was somebody who looked like you. It's tough to hear him say it, but then once you know it, it's clear as day. But the way he's screaming it is pretty tough. So for the most part, it's just the A to the D. E, G, D, back to A. And then we get to John's part, and it's the same thing. Everybody had a good time. Everybody had a good time. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That's it. That's why it works so well, because they are seamless. Listen to this one full blast on your headphones. I've told you this a million times. I'm going to tell you again because it's a good one, and the stereo separation on this live recording is such that you can really pick out each individual part. Listen to Paul's bass line. It is in the pocket. It is grooving the whole time. Even when he's singing, he's doing stuff. And he's such an incredible bass player and such an incredible talent to be able to play the complicated lines that he plays sometimes while he's singing. George's guitar work is stunning. Ringo's drumming is very groovy and cool. If you can pick out the bass drum, he's doing some very intricate stuff with the bass, like on the second and fourth 16th note of a beat. You know, one You know, that's very cool stuff he's doing. And then Billy Preston's Billy Preston, and then great vocals all across. It's a good song. It's a highlight on Let It Be for me. I wish Paul would have played it live when I saw him a few tours ago. And it would have been cool had the Beatles stayed together and gone on the road again. This would have been great in the live set. But we have it live on Let It Be, so we will always have that. You have till tomorrow to let me know which Beatles or Kinks album you would take with you as your sole source of entertainment on Mars. Let me know what you would take and why. I am closing this off tomorrow so that I can record this episode. You can call me 925-494-1739, and I will play your voicemail on the episode. That episode will be released early to people who are contributing to our monthly program. If you swing by herohabit.com in the shop, you will see where you can contribute just $4 a month. Help us keep the lights on, help keep this podcast ad-free. Thank you to those who have already contributed. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of that. All right. I will talk to you all next time. Have a great day. This podcast is presented by the Hero Habit Podcast Network. Swing by herohabit.com today to comment on this episode and poke around our growing database of sports and pop culture news, reviews, and collectibles. herohabit.com. Collect your heroes.